Welcome to the Love and Victory Show with Val, where we will bring you candid conversation. In each conversation, we will talk about real life ups and downs while tackling unresolved matters. We will also unmask issues and truly speak straightforward and candid about our needs and brokenness, while allowing ourselves to exhale so that we can become victorious. This is a place where you can be open to the possibilities of living life in abundance while gaining tools to become bold and complete. So let's get to it.
The conversations and topics discussed on the Love and Victory Show with Val are meant to provide insight, give hope, and provoke inspiration to all of its listeners. Now, you too can reach this same audience and deliver a message that will help improve their lives by becoming a sponsor. Our audience is always looking for ways to improve their lives. Your products or services might be just what they need. For more information on how you can become an official sponsor, go to lvwithval.com. That's lvwithval.com.
On today's episode, we'll be having Candid Conversation titled No Excuses with Cindy Byrd. I'm going to tell you a little bit about Cindy. She is a mother, friend, professional, and a personal coach. Now, Cindy, tell our listeners a little bit about you, a little more about you.
Thank you for having me, Ms. Carter. Yes, I am a mother of a 16-year-old son. I have over 25 years of healthcare professional sales. I am moving and currently walking out, I feel, what God has put in me as far as purpose into the area of executive and personal coaching.
Hey, I like that. And I like the fact that you said executive and professional coaching, because there are a lot of people out there now that are coaches. And so my question was going to be to you, what is a coach? What sets you apart from any other person that's on Instagram, that's on Facebook now, saying that they're a coach? So I'm glad you said that.
So it's funny because I was kind of thinking about this, like, how did I fall into this, I guess? But I don't know if I necessarily fell into it or it found me, because I think it's always been inside of me. I think with my friendships and people that I know, they've always come to me for somewhat advice or guidance, just in general conversations. I think also in my professional career, I do that on a daily basis. I am in the pharmaceutical industry, and I've been in it a long time, and I've seen how it has transitioned and changed, and it has moved from just being a sales rep to a consultant, a coach, problem solver, guiding people into the direction that they need to go as far as their patients in healthcare. And so I think what makes me different is that I don't take that word as a coach lightly, because I think coaches are not completely mandated. There's no real laws for coaching. And so for me, I'm all about integrity and credibility.
Okay.
And so I knew that I had what they called, this felt like this inside of me, a coaching purpose. But what did that mean? I really wanted to get to know what it took to become one. And so to kind of circle back, a coach is not a therapist. It is not a counselor. Therapists and counselors, what they do is they help people really talk about their past and kind of bringing them to their current situation. Coaches are people who try to get you to where you're trying to go.
Okay. I like that. And thank you for breaking that down, because it also helps me to understand and our listeners to understand when will I need a counselor, or how a counselor can help me, and at what point should I consider getting me a coach. So I like that. So a coach can also help you in your personal life as well as your professional life.
Exactly.
Okay, I like that. Well, let's talk about launching a business and all the excuses you were faced with when you decided to launch your business.
So, like I said, about 4 years ago, I felt like I had this desire to go into coaching. And so one of my big things, like I said earlier, was credibility. And so I started searching for coaching programs, and there are all types of coaching programs, and they can be very costly. But after months and months of searching, I landed on a coach by the name of Valerie Burton.
I absolutely love her.
And so I knew about Valerie Burton. I knew about some of her books. I've actually seen her on the Today Show. She's on there usually at the beginning of the year and maybe a couple of more times a year. And I found out that she actually had a coaching institute where she certified coaches and got them ready to launch into the coaching career. Some people were already coaches, but like myself, they wanted credibility. What I found is I made a decision to take her training class in Atlanta and go through her school. There was a very diverse group of people in my class. There were some people who were counselors. There were some people who were doing coaching. There were people who just wanted it to help them become better managers and people in higher levels in corporate America. But what I found that was so funny is that even the counselors or therapists didn't realize the difference between therapy and coaching, because it can be a little, there can be a little bit of a fine line. And so I wanted to just make clear, as a coach, you can be in you can have a coach and also be in therapy. So you could be coached on one situation and be in therapy on something else.
Okay.
And so a real credible and really good coach would tell a client, hey, based on our coaching sessions, it seems like you have some things that you need to work out from the past.
So it would be helpful for you to also seek a counselor.
Well, not necessarily. What I'm saying is that sometimes as a coach, someone may come to you and say, hey, I need a coach. So you start coaching them, but you start realizing that they're really talking about things in their past, some unresolved issues. And as a coach, you may say, hey, this may not be a really good time for us to have a coaching relationship. Gotcha. Let me refer you to a therapist. And once you work through that, then come back to me. Because I think one of the things about being a coach is having the right client to coach. Not just to say I'm coaching because I want to make money, because it does a disservice to the client, and it does a disservice to you as far as credibility.
That's what I was going to say. So it has to do a disservice to you with credibility, because all you're thinking about now is money versus what you went into this as far as your client.
Right.
Okay. Let's talk about excuses in the workplace. Let's talk about that.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah. Lots of excuses in the workplace. I've currently been at my company 16 years. And it's funny because I started the job and it's really evolved into a more detailed position, a lot more than what I thought when I was going into it, which has been wonderful and great because it has given me more of a diverse skill set. But I remember when I took the job, I said, if I take this job and it only lasts a year, then it will get me to the next step in my career. Well, 16 years later, I'm still at my position, but I am at a space now where I think back of how I feel like I've shortchanged myself by staying and making excuses. Oh, I've been here so long, it's so comfortable. Oh, they pay me money. They pay me well. Oh, I've gone through a divorce and this is stability for me. Oh, my son's in middle school, so I'll wait. No, now he's in high school, so I'll wait. So now I'm at a space that some things happened at work and just I think the universe, God, whatever you want to call it, came together to show me some things about you're making excuses and I'm trying to get you to another level. And it's kind of all happened at the same time. And it's been good for me to be able to reflect on how I've made excuses in staying maybe in a position a little too long.
Because it was comfortable.
And how that if I continue on, if I didn't get shook up a little bit, as people would say, I would probably continue to make excuses.
Well, it's funny you say that because you were mentioning earlier before we started this about something that you wrote down 2 years ago.
Right.
Let's kind of talk about that a little bit, how things happen and how seeds are planted and we just kind of...
Right. So I was actually journaling. I was kind of going through this phase of journaling. And I look back at my journal recently, and I wrote in my journal about 2 years ago. It said, your position, you're working hard, but you're not benefiting from all your hard work. Some things are just outside sources. Just the healthcare environment has changed. That's kind of what I put in my notes. But then the next thing said, start getting your resume, start getting your LinkedIn page together. Now, when I wrote that down, I was slowly, like a turtle, working on those things. But then I got sidetracked because my job got a little bit better and I got a little more comfortable. And
you were in a happy place for a moment.
Right. But I'll be honest with you. I think the underlying part of all of that was fear.
Yeah, that's the whole reason I brought that up, is because a lot of times we don't move because of our fear. You know, God put something in us and we're really ready for it, but then we talk ourselves out of it. You know, we start to make excuses, and that goes back to, well, my son is in middle school. Well, I have a really good paying job. Well, I just went through a divorce. I'm the only income coming into the house, you know. So we put excuses instead of just trusting and moving forward. So.
Right, and walking through the process.
Yes. We're going to come back to that again, the work, but I want to talk about excuses in a romantic relationship.
Well, you know, I was married for 15 years, and I remember a good friend of mine said to me, he said, you know, if you're going to be fearful, if you feel like a relationship will never work or they're always going to be bad, then you'll never date. You'll never go out with somebody. And I'm learning in my more mature age that life is risky.
Could you repeat that again?
Life is risky.
Yes.
And not just romantic relationships, of course, but just in general.
Yes.
Even when you think, because I never thought I'd be divorced, even when you think, oh, this is like this. I've been on my job for 16 years. I'm going to be able to retire. Oh, I'm married. I'm going to stay married forever. All of those things. But even going into that, you don't go into and say it's a risk.
It's a risk.
But you have to know that anything could change at any time.
Any and everything can change at any time. And what I like about that, because we do make excuses in relationships. I have been with my husband for forever, my childhood sweetheart. And even in that, having that safety net, I've made excuses on starting things, getting started in things that I enjoy doing or that I wanted to do because, one, I didn't want to impact the family. Two, how is that going to look to him and the family members if my relationships if it doesn't work out? So we make excuses. Okay, let's talk about friendship.
That's interesting too.
Yeah.
Friendships, you know that whole saying, some people come in your life for a reason,
and
a season, or a lifetime.
Yes.
And I look at some of my friendships as lifetime friendships. I can see them more clearly now as lifetime friendships. I also realize that some relationships were seasonal. And it's okay that you could have a friend, let's just use an example, in college you were two peas in a pod.
Yes.
But it's okay that y'all are associates now.
Yes.
That you're not good friends. You know, but
the friendship doesn't change. It's just that you've grown to a different place.
Right. And it doesn't mean you have to cut the person completely off. Now, there are some friendships that I have cut completely off.
Yeah. Unhealthy ones.
Very much so. Toxic, couldn't go with me to the next level. Really, and you know, I've been on this evolution, and will be there probably till I go on to glory. Is that I am coming outside of my own box that either was created by someone else or created by me.
Yeah.
By me.
We do a lot of that.
Right, but sometimes people who are friends, whatever, associates, like you staying in the box because it's comfortable for them.
For them.
And so I have gotten to a space where I'm like, it's okay for it to be seasonal. It's okay for it to be a reason. You were there for me for a reason. And then I also value and I'm so thankful for the lifetime friends.
That's right. Well, you know, one of the things that I had to learn, and I'm still working on, and I guess it's going to be a learning process, as you said, till the day I die, that friendship. our friendships are in different phases. You know, they're, like you said, there are some friends that are going to be with you your entire life, that have been with you almost your entire life. And then there are other friends that are there for the moment. And then there are some that you just have to remove out of that life because, like you said, they are unwilling to see you grow, and they're unwilling to grow. And it's just not healthy. And for me, when I hear you say that, it takes me back to a place of me thinking back on a friend that I really love, and I know that she really loved me, but she wanted me to stay in that box. And God had really delivered me out of that box a long time ago, and I was still trying to, when I came around her, to make her comfortable by staying in that box.
Got you.
And so I got to a place that, I'm not going to be uncomfortable to make somebody else comfortable.
Absolutely.
So again, that goes back to no excuses.
Right.
Yeah. So you got anything else on that?
As a matter of fact, I actually had a really good friend who's like a mentor to me. She actually passed away yesterday. And it made me really sad, but I thought, but I was so thankful that she was in my house, in my life. She was not somebody who you would have ever thought would have ended up in my life, but we crossed paths, and she taught me a lot. She was almost like a mother in some ways, and I kind of laughed to myself. I said, well, she's passed away, and she took some of my secrets with her, because she was a no judgment.
It is what it is.
Yeah, she was a no judgment. She gave you really good advice, but she came always from a place of love.
Oh, wow.
And she had some health challenges. She was like in her 60s.
Irreplaceable friend.
Yeah.
Walk us through what excuses actually does to a person that disdains gratefulness.
I guess what I'm hearing is like, if you make excuses, are you really being grateful?
Yes.
It's almost like the same question that says, well, don't you have faith? I think it's the mindset of, it doesn't mean you're ungrateful, but sometimes the fear and the excuses take over you seeing clearly. It's not that you're not grateful.
Well, it goes back to not knowing how to express it.
Right. It's just like saying somebody who says, I just dislike my job or I dislike my career, but it doesn't mean you're not grateful for the job.
Or it could be that I'm really grateful, I'm really happy, but maybe I just don't know how to express it that makes you understand how grateful and happy I am.
Right.
Walk us through what excuses actually does to a person that is destined for greatness.
It keeps you stuck. And sometimes you don't even realize you're stuck. It will keep you unfulfilled. Because if you are destined for greatness, or if there is something inside of you that you don't even try, it's going to always be that burning desire, and I think a level of frustration. Like you won't be able to figure out, why can't I feel complete or whole or feel like I've accomplished what I needed to accomplish, because you're not walking out the purpose, right? And the destined for being great and whatever that is.
I think what I like about this, because a lot of times we can be in an internal gratefulness, but our external and what we're putting out is something totally opposite.
Right.
And that is what people see, what we're projecting, and how they see your gratefulness. Because, and also sometimes that's how God sees it. You know, it's what we're projecting. You want some of this, Shania? Look at you. I know you're ready for it now. Come on.
So, it's when you create excuses and you know or don't know that you're destined for greatness, like Miss Cindy said, it stunts you. It's like it holds you up. It's like you know how you try to get over like a speed hump, and sometimes your car like goes back. It's like that. Like you're supposed to get over that hump. So like, don't let that speed bump of an excuse stop you from going over the proper.
But wouldn't you say sometime you don't even know that it's a speed bump there, because you just kind of starting and stopping, making an excuse, and then that's what's internally keeping you from your gratefulness, because you know that it's something there, but you can't quite figure out what it is, because you keep.
Yeah, and I think
and I like that analysis. So
if you can't figure it out why, then that means you need to do a self-reflection. Like, am I really afraid of what I'm destined for? But because sometimes we are scared of our
so now
future.
you want to get deep. See my sidekick. So sometimes you are destined, but you are afraid. But how do you know that you're destined if you're still wrapped up in the fear?
So I think that's a great analogy, but I also think what people are afraid to do, and when we talk about those lifelong friends, ask them. They know you because they see you from a different vantage point.
Yeah.
They see the good, they see the bad, and the ugly. But what I found with people who are really your friends, well, let me speak for myself.
Okay.
I am highly critical of myself, very much so. And I can say to some of my friends, and they're looking at me or talking to me like, what? What do you see?
Right.
You know? And I think they haven't experienced what I've experienced. So they don't hear the voices in my head that I hear, the family of origin stuff, what they said about you on your job, what happened a long time ago where you do a lot of self-doubt. I'm speaking for myself, of course. And so what they see is what they've always seen in you.
The greatness. Yes.
Right. They don't have any reason to flood it with negativity or anything like that. Now, they'll straighten you out when you're wrong.
Yes.
Because they love you. They're not going to just believe or say anything just because. But I believe that we play our own voices in our head and our own thing. That's our stuff. That doesn't mean, and really, that's not how God sees us either.
Ooh. Well, I'm glad you said that. And, I know, Shania, we got to do this little transition here, this little break, and we're going to come back in. But I really want to come back in with this conversation here because this is really deep, and I think I want to take this a little further down. All righty. So we are going to take a moment for the sponsors, and we'll be right back.
VK Consultant Group would like to celebrate our client, the Texas Institute of Digestive Health, for all they have accomplished in their partnership with us. Since 2017, Dr. Victor W. Yang, with the help of VK Consultant Group, has expanded and continues to grow his practice, promoting and educating on the importance of digestive health. We would like to sincerely thank Dr. Yang for his 30-plus years of practice and for allowing us to help him make an impact on the lives of so many people across Texas. To learn more about how VK Consultant Group can help you grow, visit vkconsultantgroup.com or call 713-893-7401. That's vkconsultantgroup.com or 713-893-7401. VK Consultant Group. We are dedicated to helping you achieve maximum success in your medical practice.
Welcome back to the Candid Conversation, where we'll continue in the conversation with Cindy. All righty, let's get with it. I said that we were going to go back to gratefulness and having someone in your life that can really look at you and see something's off and call you on your stuff. What you got to say on that, Cindy?
Well, I have several people in my life who can do that. And it's built on trust, right? And sometimes trust is the amount of years and time. But sometimes some friendships are trustworthy pretty early on, right? But I also realized, and I thought about this after we went to break, people who can look at you in your face or say, "Are you okay?" or call you out on the good and the bad. What I realized as far as friends, they don't want anything from you.
Right.
All they want is the friendship.
Yeah.
The friendship, the love, whatever umbrella you want to put that under. It's not an underlying agenda.
Right.
And it's not their underlying agenda. It's not, what can you do for me?
Right.
And all friendships aren't necessarily built on that. One of the things Mrs. Carter and I were discussing on break is that, a person can look at you in your eyes and say, I could tell something is wrong. But unless you have the trust there, the person is not going to communicate or be honest about what's going on with them if they don't trust.
They're not going to reciprocate that and come back and say,
right,
this is what's going on.
Right.
Building on trust.
Exactly.
I like that. I really do, because because everybody is not going to be open just because you say, I see something different.
Right.
What's going on with you? So you have to build a relationship. Shania, you got anything to say on that? Come on, Shania.
No, like the trust that with relationships and just even back to the excuses part, you can make excuses on why you don't want to tell someone something because of how you feel or what you may see about yourself. And this friend is there. So where I'm going is you have that friend that loves you and that's gonna be there for you, that's gonna correct you, but you make an excuse not to tell them what's happening with you because we don't want to face ourselves and we don't want to be truthful with our own selves. So
you don't want that accountability.
Yeah. So it starts with being truthful with yourself. Like, yes, this is how I feel, but then also like, hey, this is how and then telling someone how you feel in that relationship,
and then that person being open enough to hear you and give you that safe place to express how you feel.
Yeah, the safe place is what matters.
Yes.
If you don't have that safe place, that trust, that connection, or that's a solid foundation of a friendship or any type of relationship, nothing else can actually come into it. Trust, all that other stuff.
It makes me think back to when you first started with me. When Shania first started with me, she was. I knew she was special coming to me, but I didn't realize just how special she was. As time went on, I would always just kind of look at her, and I would have a conversation. Oh, I'm fine. Like, girl, no, you're not. And I would see, God over time allowed me to see that, it's something there. But I think we got to a place one day where I guess you had your safe place. You felt safe that you can really unpack and.
For me, that's hard because I'm usually the person on the other end. Like, I'm the one saying, hey, how are you? How are you doing? And in this season, it was my turn to say how I feel to someone that actually really cared. Because when you don't have that person to that space, those friends or whatever, to say this is how I'm feeling, you just hold yourself, and then you trying to hold everybody else. So it's times two, and you just like, okay, I'm gonna walk around with my bags, your bags, and their bags, and it's just like
it's breakable.
It's breakable. You need to release some stuff. When you go buy groceries, you pick them up and you put them down.
Right.
You don't hold
from
groceries
such a young person.
You don't just walk around holding bags all day.
Yes.
You put them down because they have a purpose to be put down to take out what's in them.
Come on now, girl. Come on with it. Come on.
So like you need to put their bags down, your bags down, unpack that stuff so you don't keep walking around with
that weight.
With that weight, showing it off, and it's not a fashion bag. It's not. It may be a little grocery bag.
Okay,
this is your podcast.
Okay, well, you know what, I like what you was reading because I like that because that's the truth, and and I'm so grateful that you feel that you have a safe place to unpack, and as you would say, that's not a fashion bag. Put that bag down. Come on here, so we can get going. Right. So, what do you have to say about that, Miss Coach?
I
Professional coach.
Yeah, I think that is spot on because I think. And I was thinking about, like, when we talk about the whole mental health situation that's going on, like it just started. Like, people have been having mental health issues, but COVID has really brought it out because people have been isolated and have been stuck, right? Right? And they can't go to the different things that they use as outlets, healthy or unhealthy, to so-called let off some steam. And I think this is why therapists and coaches and people along those lines are really like inundated with clients, because people are finally getting to a space where, and as Shania was talking, I said a lot of that has to do with your own shame. Your own shame about who you are.
What you did, what you didn't do.
Or who you aren't, or, and like I said about myself coming out of a box, is that my family, I love them, but there are similarities, but there are differences too. I have had different experiences. I'm a different personality, and I think all of us could tell this story. Yes. And I'm at a space now where I'm like trying to be my authentic self, the good, the bad, and the ugly.
Right.
And those people who are really your friends, those people who really know you, probably already saw that in me a long time ago. Like I kept it hidden.
Right. You can't hide what's in you.
Yeah, right. But I think with family, because family kind of has this family code of what you're supposed to do or not do, or how you're supposed to be and not be. And I will tell you, raising a 16-year-old son has been well, not just 16, just raising a son has been very eye-opening. And I am learning as he's maturing that, you know, when you were talking about talking to someone, if he wants to just talk, let him talk.
Yeah.
You don't have to come up with the solution. You know, mothers, we tend to be
Oh my
solution
God.
oriented.
We want to fix everything.
Right.
Yeah.
Also letting him, he says to me all the time, and as much as I want to grit my teeth, he'll say, Mom, I'm not you. Because I'll say, when I was your age, blah, blah, blah.
God.
And he's like, I am not you. There's a lot of him that is like me, but there's a lot of him that is just him.
Well, you know, it's so funny you say that, because with my daughter, my youngest daughter, she's helping me to listen a lot more, because with her own, she has her own identity, and she wants to bump her head just like I had to, and she's wanting to, and she's growing, and she has her own personal relationship with God, and she's going to have her own ups and downs in her experiences. They don't necessarily need us to fix stuff. They just want us to be an ear. And that is, as you said, it's very difficult for us as mothers, because it's hard to look at our child and see them going through something and not wanting to jump in there and fix it.
Right.
Sure, go ahead. I know you. Look, go ahead, jump on in here.
Let's say something. That kind of like, just to kind of remind me of my mom. Like, I'll often ask her, like, hey, what do you think I should do? Or what do you think this? And she'd be like, she'll give me her opinion, but she'll say it's up to you at the end of the day. And I think her saying that really taught me, like, how to make hard decisions, even the ones I didn't want to make, like, even the ones she probably thought, like, she should have made the decision for me. But I think she's been preparing me to, like, make decisions by myself, because I used to be a really indecisive person, but, like, her making me, like, lean on, like, not only my wisdom but God in different situations, like, taught me, like, okay, like, to be yourself. Like, my grandma and my mom, like, they raised, and my dad, they, like, I grew up in church, but, like, my faith was always my faith. Like, they didn't let me, like,
Put
just
you into their
faith. Yeah, like,
you,
they let me do me. They prayed over me. They watched me, and they made sure they would, if they felt like, okay, I wasn't in the right environment, they were like, okay, maybe pray about it, do this and all that stuff. But, like, their decisions on letting me kind of, like, grow up, because they were going to have to do that at some point. Like, them doing it early on kind of, like, really helped me to be the woman I am. I don't think I would be as wise as I am if they didn't do what they did.
And that is a very important skill set launching into adulthood. That's what I'm learning with my son, because he's like, I got 2 more years. Though it's not going to just really be 2 more years, because he's going to go off to college. But really, from a legal standpoint, when he hits 18, mom doesn't or dad doesn't have to sign off on medical stuff. Mom and dad don't have to sign off. He legally
is an adult.
He is an adult, right? And as hard as that can be, you want him to be prepared.
Right. Well, you know, I'm going to take this a little deeper. Can you encourage someone to stop making excuses and trust the process that God has for them? I like that. Oh, my God.
I think something that I don't do enough of at all is get out a piece of paper and start journaling. I think, or just old school, make a list, pros and cons. If I do this is a pro, what is the con? Because just because you want to make a decision doesn't mean that it's not some risk or some consequences to a certain decision.
And
right?
it doesn't necessarily mean that decision you're trying to make is a decision you need to make right now.
Exactly. Took the words right out of my mouth. But I think when you can see it on paper, a lot of times everything is in my head.
Right.
And that just becomes muddled up. It's a lot going on in this head of mine. So if you can get it on paper, and I'm a visual person, if see it on paper, even with like me in the coaching, scenario, I'm still working out the business. I know the business is happening, but I'm still got kinks and things that I have to work out, but I got to get it out of my head.
Right.
I got to get it on paper. I got to start putting one foot in front of the other. And that was the next thing I was going to say. Sometimes you just got to walk it out.
Yeah.
You know, when I decided to I knew that I wanted to do something in coaching, I had to just start looking up things on the internet, just starting to see what's out there. You know, sometimes people don't even put a foot in front of the other. They don't even know what they don't know.
And I'm glad you brought that back up, because that was a question I wanted to ask in the first segment. How did you choose Valerie Byrd?
Honestly, credibility, I already knew she was credible, right? I've seen her. I liked her style. Her price point was right for me as far as coaching and what you got in that. Okay. Because sometimes you have these big name coaches, like you got, all these different big name coaches. They will remain nameless. Okay. But they might not be the kind of coach you're trying to be, or their style may be different. So, really reading about what they do, what they teach. With Valerie Burton's program, her program is called the CAP Institute, Coaching and Positive Psychology. So it's not just executive and personal coaching. They put in also some positive psychology mindset into their training, because she has a master's in positive psychology.
Mm-hmm. And one of the things that I love about her also, she is a woman of faith.
She is a woman of faith.
And so that's also a part of who she is. That's a part of her platform. That's a part of her books. I mean, that's what I love about her.
Right. Yeah. And so with the training, because of her positive psychology component, she's pulling people from her resources in the world of positive psychology. Wow. So you're not just getting trained by Valerie, you're getting trained by Valerie's team. Oh. Her whoever her team of people are.
Wow.
So
wow. And how often are these trainings, or how can you find these trainings?
So you can go to her website, ValerieBurton.com. It looks like, based on what I'm seeing, everything is still. I think it's still being done virtually. I'm not quite sure.
We don't need to advertise.
Right. Yeah. Right. But what I was just saying is that it's done probably 2 to 3 times a year.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah. Great. All righty. I have to transition again for the sponsors, but I will be back with no excuses.
When you donate to L&V Enterprise Resources, you are helping someone find a job. You are strengthening your community and ultimately doing your part to conserve the planet. L&V offers resources to and for individuals with disabilities to further their education, acquire job skills, and find an employment that is meaningful and impactful, not only for their own lives, but also for the world at large. Visit lverinc.com to donate. The possibilities are endless. Let's explore them together.
All righty, we are back at it again. No excuses. I'm so happy to have you, Cindy, on the Love and Victory Show. But I want to find out, where are you at launching your new profession?
Well, one of the things that I needed to do before launching was cross the T's and dot my I's on my training. There was a little bit more of the training that I needed to complete to just submit, to get that final submission. So I've done it. Yay.
Yay.
It was a long time coming. And I just finally, it was one of those things, digging your heels in and saying, I got to get this done, get this off the list, seriously. Mm-hmm. And so now I'm in the process of building my brand. I've done some professional pictures. I'm in the process of solidifying names and all of that, kind of building my support. Building my support and site. So it will be happening soon. And so, so that's where I am.
Alrighty, y'all, stay tuned. Y'all heard it. She is phenomenal. And you will hear it first on the Love and Victory Show with Val when she launches her new official professional coaching business. I want to say to you personally, Cindy, I am absolutely grateful to God that you chose to come on to the podcast and share with people. And I hope that someone, how about everyone, have gotten something out of this. No more excuses. So we want to get busy. You know the things that are on the inside of you that you're waiting, that you're wanting to get going on. No more excuses. Let's just get started. Get it going. What would you like to leave the people with, Cindy?
I think what I want to leave the people with is something that I wish somebody would have told me. And what that is it's okay to take baby steps. Mm-hmm. You know, you don't have to go from 0 to 10. Mm-hmm. You can go from 0 to 2. You're making progress. Mm-hmm. And so, you know, journaling I think is important. Maybe making a list. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. You know, maybe a coaching question. What am I fearful of? And write down your fears and be honest. It's not necessarily for anybody else to see, but you have to be honest and then try to work through those barriers of fear and what's keeping you from entering whatever the market is that you want to do. Maybe find some mentors. And maybe working all these things all at the same time, right? Okay. Get you some mentors, do your investigative work. Maybe the fear is that you're not quite sure, you're not quite trained, whether it be, you know, I want to open up a catering business. Maybe you need
I like that. Well, again, thank you again for our listeners, and until next time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.